Hi, so this is a lesson on picking things up, how to make objects lighter by using the concept of GRF, ground reaction force, so it's physics. So if we were to bounce a ball as hard as we can, that ball would go higher because obviously it's responding to the surface. And the same sort of applies to objects that you can use. So rather than just picking things up, things are going to feel more heavier, but by pushing them into the ground, they will become lighter. But having said that, we are going to first start off with lighter objects. Many people might pick up things like this, okay, to pick up keys, a pen, something small on the floor, and then, maybe they're putting something down even. The problem with this position, especially if you are not very mobile or if you have various conditions like osteoporosis, then it can put a bit of a strain on the back, especially if you have things like slip discs as well. It can put a bit of a strain on the back. Also, if you tight hamstrings, that also can lead to the lower back being in pain and so on. So we're going to change our angles in that. Everyone's different, so it's about finding a way that works for you. Okay, so it takes time and a bit of play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead with my stronger leg. I'm just going to put my hand on this chair and I'm going to pick it up. The reason why this is easier, okay, this kind of movement, is because we're keeping the spine long, okay? I would personally always have an object nearby. Most of the time there is an object nearby. In the case there isn't an object nearby, you might just want to cock the leg back, but make sure it's still in contact with the floor there. But most of the time there's a wall beside you, a chair, a sofa, a table that you can just put your hand on, pick something up, put it down again. You can obviously try that with both legs, see which feels more comfortable, but normally if we're in a rush picking things up, we're always going to favour that side all the time. Okay, so that's us practicing picking up these objects. All right, so I'm going to switch legs. I favour one side. So if you wanted to have a little practice, maybe just go to the other side and switch sides like that. Okay, so and some people already do this unknowingly to them that this is actually a better way of picking something lighter. Right, we are now going to move on to heavier objects. So I first found this out when I went to the States and I had my suitcase and I sprung load my suitcase absolutely everywhere after I knew about this. So by pushing an object down, it's going to be lighter. But let's focus on the feeling of something first so we can sort of feel the difference. So if you have a chair nearby, something like this, practice up, picking it up, just picking it up, testing the weight of that chair. Okay, so we're just going to pick up that chair a couple of times and feel the weight. You might even have to be here actually, depends how big and heavy that chair is. So you're just testing the weight. So we haven't pushed it down into the ground at all that time. So it's probably going to feel a bit heavy depending on what sort of object you're using. This is actually quite a light chair. See? So it's quite light, I can just turn it around. So we're going to push that chair. So I would go in front of it. I would probably cock my leg so I can get a bit more leverage. And I'm going to push that chair into the ground and then pick it up. So it feels much lighter, even when I'm holding it like this, it feels so much lighter. So again, just practice that a couple of times, pushing your weight into the chair and picking it up, okay? Now, doing it that way is really good, but obviously if you were having a suitcase, it's not going to be like that, is it? It's going to be more like, say this is the handle, okay? I'm going to push it down and I'm going to pick it up like this. So when you would use that technique is if you're trying to get it on one of those conveyor belts that you're going to wear your suitcase, that you would push it down, pick it up, you pop it on the conveyor belt like that, and that's going to obviously be a bit easier than just picking it up. So you're picking up a dead weight, aren't you? So it's the way, if you see Dancing on Ice or even Strictly, the trained dancers will lighten themselves up to make themselves lighter for the person who's going to pick them up. It's exactly the same principle. which you can use. So now I'm going to talk about I actually use this to pick up children. So with my 4-year-old, obviously I'm not going to ask him to push himself down, and you don't push them down, but what you would say is bend your knees, and they will bend their knees, and even that process of them bending their knees will be lighter to pick them up than it just picking them up, because that's when we get shoulder pain, neck pain, other problems. So say to them, bend your knees and pick them up. It takes time for them to understand what you're talking about, but if you start early enough, you can do it. So if your grandchildren or anything like that, tell someone, hey, you could push, just tell them to bend their knees and they will appear lighter. Don't ask them to jump, because they might knock your teeth out. Okay.